what do we ask for when we're judging managers, when we've judged Thiago Motta or any other coach? We want to see progression. We want to see, at the business end of the season, the teams to improve. And Roma are doing that. Roma are consistently getting results. They're knowing which players he could count on, knowing who he's not able to.
Well, what a turnaround it has been for Roma. They are revitalised, their third entrance this weekend with the most points earned in this new calendar year, considering just league play in those stats. But the company that they're in tells the full story here. Bayern Munich, Liverpool, PSG, all the league leaders. And then you've got Roma. I mean, it's difficult to imagine that they would be in this position right now, considering what we saw was such a disaster and a roller coaster at the beginning of the season to start the calendar.
The thing is, we always knew Roma had quality. I mean, we all sat here in August.
A substantial amount of money.
They spent a lot of money. They got youngsters. So we all sat here and said that eventually it would click. They made a terrible decision when they switched coaches from De Rossi and they created instability, and Juric wanted to play a very different style of football that clearly the players didn't want to play. So while it is surprising that they were able to bounce back, this is also where Roma should be. They should be a team that's starting to compete for the European spots. That's where they've been all year long. So it's amazing that they were able to bounce back in the way that they have been. The only team in Serie A that's still unbeaten in 2025. The biggest thing for me is that Roma fights again. There used to be times where Roma would concede a goal, game was over. That's it. They're not going to come back into matches. Now in the Europa League against Tottenham, in so many matches against the big clubs just like Napoli, I knew Roma was going to fight. I knew that they were going to come and get points or even win a game. So for me, that's the biggest telltale sign, rather than just looking at the numbers and looking at what they've done.
How old is Ranieri? We said,
I think 72 or 73.
About 72, 73 years old, right? You know what the most interesting thing is to me is that in football, especially as I've been growing through the game, I've seen it change from when I started as a kid, from when I finished. I've seen it change like in the scouting position, how they look for players, in the GM positions, how they build these teams, what different boards do and investment groups. And now when you go sign a player, there's like 1 billion statistics, right? And then there's like 1 billion other websites that you can go on. Like there's 100 that you can name, right? That give you statistics, they give you performances, they give you like all these little metrics, right? And the game has become, in some ways, a little bit, stat heavy and complicated in that way. And that's the direction it's moving in. Because anyone you talk to in those big positions on the board, before they sign a player, they're running all these metrics, right? There's a Moneyball element to it, right? And all the sports medicine, and there's these fitness coaches that tell you how much to run and how much not to run, and the GPS trackers and all this stuff. But he's 72 years old. You reckon he uses any of that stuff? I don't think so. He just does the basic thing. He simplifies the game. Angelino is playing as a right center back. He's like, how tall is Angelino? 5'7". He's like, he doesn't fit there. Boom, you put him here. Done. Pellegrini's not playing well. Go to the bench.
Is he the best definition of just simple football?
But he's 72 years old, so I don't think he's using these metrics. So what I'm saying is, it's so interesting to me. How is it possible without all these metrics, without all these things? He's coming from a different age of football.
It's just football intelligence.
It's just the basic fundamentals of the game that he's done. He's given him so much stability, and we can't even really pick out, he's changed all this and this.
Well, I mean, Dybala's
just done the normal things. He's just done the normal things.
We always say football is a very simple game, and it's us that complicate it. That's the problem with this game of football that we love so much. It's people go out their way to try and reinvent the wheel, and you can't. The best teams are about relationships with the manager and the player. Ranieri's gone in there. He's brought back confidence, belief. He's brought that relationship. Marco did a great interview with Dybala. Dybala said it. He's like my therapist. He talks to me. That's all it is. Forget the metrics and all these numbers.
He gave a really interesting part in that interview where he said there was a player on Roma who needed to go see his father. And Ranieri said, you can't really leave right now. We have to go to training. Then Dybala and Paredes went to Ranieri and said, he really needs a break. Like, he needs to go and do this. And Ranieri said, you know why I'm going to give him the break? Because your teammates are supporting you. That's the man management that Ranieri brings. Those are the intangibles that you don't see, you can't calculate, but matter in a team. I think the one big thing is, what do we ask for when we're judging managers, when we've judged Thiago Motta or any other coach? We want to see progression. We want to see, at the business end of the season, the teams to improve. And Roma are doing that. Roma are consistently getting results. They're knowing which players he could count on, knowing who he's not able to. And I think that that's the best thing that we need to see from right now.
But having said that, do you think some of those players that came out at halftime will start on Thursday against Athletic Club?
No, probably not. Dovbyk is going to be the guy that's going to be able to lead lead the line. They have to also find ways to rotate and pull on these different strings. So I think that it's important, right? He has to be able to manage the different competitions. It's not an easy workload coming in. As I mentioned, if you look at who Roma have to play next, it's a lot of the big dogs. Thursday is massively important because, as Nigel said, Athletic Bilbao, for me, is one of the teams that I put that could go on and win the competition. It's the toughest matchup that we have.
Yep.
It also means a lot for Italian fans and Serie A fans for the coefficient. If Roma are able to turn this around, all of a sudden, there might be a chance to get a fifth Champions League spot. So
it also
we have to see what happens, but
it could be a great fairy tale for Claudio Ranieri, coming back in, doing what he's done so far, and then takes them to win the Europa League. What a story that would be. And for me, I think that they'll be fantastic in what they're going to do. And I like it one game at a time. You know, you look at the record of what he's done so far since coming in. That's absolutely ridiculous. Some managers will kill for that win percentage in half a season, and he's already gone and done that. And today, again, you look at how he manages the team. Reality of this game today, Roma was second best all around. They looked like they had low energy and stuff, but they found a way to get the result. So you've got to give them credit for that.
I'll say this with Roma and what's really impressive about Ranieri and this team since he's taken over. There's obviously the stability we talk about a lot, and we just showed the record since he's been there. But even if you watch the phases of play, they never like really lose control of games where they're like under the cash. They're like getting like bombarded by chances, or the large periods of games where they don't attack, or they look like they're lost, or you know, or the game's too fast for them, or the game's too slow for them. They're always like in the game, and they're always calm, and they know what they're going to do, and they know how they're going to do it, and he knows the subs to make. We're about to watch a game between Milan and Lazio that don't really know that. There's times where you can literally see the panic in Milan. They're down 1-0, and they're just like don't know how they're going to score, and Teo's flying, and Leao's flying, and they don't know exactly where the goal's going to come from. Now they took Reinders, they put him further back. Pulisic's been a little bit more non-existent because they're panicking, right? Lazio the same. Lazio conceded against Inter, right? And then panic, and they try to go get the next one, and they got done 6-0 because there was that sense of panic. There was a sense that they lost control of that game. With Roma, you don't see it anymore. They don't lose control of any situations, and that's important in European competition,
isn't it, for them? Because we have seen them lose control in the past a lot of times. Maybe under Jose was maybe that biggest addition where we would see so many red cards, yellow cards. It was madness. It was frantic.
It's very.
Do you know when you say that? Probably it's great when you say that because Grella said it before. The manager is a reflection of the team. The manager that you have in charge, when you look at Jose Mourinho, his personality, how he is, how he conducted himself and carried himself with getting booked, that filters down to the team to act that way.
We see it with Fenerbahce right now.
Now you see the same thing with Fenerbahce, but Claudio Ranieri is not that guy. He's the calm, nice guy, in control, and you're seeing a lot more greater discipline in this Roma side under him because, again, as a manager, you're a reflection of the team and the team that you put out there and how the team play.
They never look overwhelmed in any situations. And we just saw Inter play against Napoli that looked overwhelmed for 90 minutes, especially in the second half, like Marco was saying. They look overwhelmed. Roma, even in the first half, they had a very poor first half to Como, who were fantastic, playing good possession, playing good stuff. But they never lose control of themselves. They never lose control of the situation. That's credit to Claudio Ranieri and the group and the guys with the experience. Paredes, Dybala, there's some big name World Cup winners in the team as well.
We saw him come on and embracing his teammates, and he didn't even play.